If I showed you Vegeta, Cell, and Jiren, could you tell me what they have in common, outside of being antagonists for their respective arcs? Well, there's actually one aspect of each character that tends to get overlooked, but is still pretty important. These three characters all represent some sort of aspect of Goku. Each character acts as a foil to Goku in some way, representing different views of the warrior. Cell, of course, being a villain, and Vegeta being a villain during introduction, with Jiren being completely separate, but also a hero in his own universe. But how? What do they represent about Goku? Today I want to discuss why these three represent alternate versions of Goku, and how the way they're written actually builds Goku up in a sense. People tend to talk a lot about Turles or Goku Black as alternate versions of Goku, and while they do have some thematic connections to Goku, they're often a bit overstated. In a way, they do represent a quote-unquote evil version of Goku, but mostly for surface-level reasons. For example, Turles is basically an average low-class Saiyan with regular motives. Sure, there's some similarities in the sense that he pursues strength like Goku, but so does every other Saiyan. If his design weren't so similar to Goku, I wonder if there would be as many comparisons. Raditz is actually a better representation of this if anything, given their tied origins and how they each took different paths from a similar starting point. As for Goku Black, he is a literal evil Goku. His connections with Goku run deeper than Turles', but mainly because this is actually just Goku's body. Narratively, he's tied to Goku, and he does act as a foil to Goku in some ways. So, why am I bringing them up? Well, it's because a lot of the time, they're compared to Goku. More specifically, people refer to them as evil versions of Goku. But the three characters I'm about to cover serve better examples than they do, at least in my opinion. Although Jiren's not an evil version of Goku, but still an alternate version of him. I just feel that people would bring up Turles and Goku Black here, so I didn't forget them, but it's worth explaining why I'm not covering them here. Same for any other character I don't mention here. It's just that, in my eyes, these three I'm about to cover represent it best. Let's start with Vegeta. So this is kind of a weird place to start. There is a lot more to Vegeta's character than just how he's compared to Goku. But for this video, we're only focused on that specific aspect, mainly when he was a villain, but partially afterwards. A big chunk of this will be focused on Saiyan Saga Vegeta. Right off the bat, we have an obvious connection between the two of them. Goku is the strongest person on Earth because he worked hard for it. He's known basically as the strongest, he's respected as such, and he often proves it too. Meanwhile, Vegeta is regarded as the strongest among Saiyans, also being the highest ranking as the Prince. It's a very clear contrast here. And it's also one of the core themes of the entire Saiyan saga, hard work versus talent. Goku representing the former as a low-class Saiyan, with Vegeta representing the latter as an elite Saiyan. The two both admire strength and are glad that they have that strength. They enjoy the thrill of battle, but the way they obtained it, that's where they begin to contrast each other. Goku is a Saiyan that was raised on Earth and is referred to as such. It's a representation of his identity and how he grew. He's a Saiyan by blood, but at heart he's an Earthling. Meanwhile, Vegeta is the pure embodiment of Saiyan culture. Everything about him is Saiyan-like. He represents what Goku was supposed to be. Their ideals and their thoughts on how to obtain strength are completely separate. Besides Vegeta being royalty and the most elite Saiyan only second to his father, who is of course dead by this point, pretty much everything in Vegeta's life is dictated by his Saiyan heritage. It's not just part of his identity, it is his identity at this point. Vegeta's desire for strength is driven by pride. He must be number one. It's what he was born to be and he never saw any other way. Goku on the other hand is driven by self-improvement. Their own desires for strength and for good battles, ultimately they're similar, but each with a different course of how to get there and reasons for why they want to get there. Another way Vegeta contrasts Goku is by who he surrounds himself with. Vegeta represents individuality, hierarchy and inequality as well. The Saiyan class system makes this very apparent. Vegeta is the only Vegeta. No one could be on his level, no one is him. As for low-class Saiyans, well, they're all fodder in his eyes. They're pretty much nothing while he's everything. Meanwhile, you have Goku. Vegeta stands above all, but Goku brings everyone to his level, representing the value of companionship. Sure, it might sound a little bit cliche, but it's true. Goku's strength isn't just in his individuality, it's in his allies as well. And not just in the sense of physical strength, but everything else about Goku's life. Goku's friends and family on Earth are what made him who he is. And a huge chunk of Vegeta's character arc later on is recognizing why Goku is such a great warrior, and also seeing this side of him too. And if you didn't see it already, I made a video on this topic and why Goku will always be the figurative number one, so you can check that out linked above if you want. But anyways, a lot of Vegeta's redemption arc and his development in general, it's heavily focused on Vegeta embracing that Earthling side, which he directly stood against beforehand, being changed by the planet and people just as Goku was. Vegeta contrasts Goku and kind of serves as a foil to him, mostly represented through societal differences, their differing views on strength, and their motivations, what exactly drives them. But when it comes to strength, Cell also serves as a perfect foil to Goku too. No pun intended, but in my eyes he kind of represents an alternate version of Goku. Think about the themes of the Saiyan arc and everything I just covered with Vegeta. Hard work versus talent. Well, Cell represents something kind of similar. He's the perfect fighter created through science. And also somewhat like Goku, his strength relies on others. Not in the sense that others build him up to be a great warrior, but literally it relies on others. The way Cell gains strength is basically the antithesis to the way Goku gains strength. Not only was Cell born with strength like Vegeta, but he's artificially created to be this way. Strength gained through science on someone else's behalf. And even then, when he does gain power, it's always through others. Having to absorb people, having to absorb androids, having to rely on the fact that he's part Saiyan and part Namekian in order to grow during battle when regenerating. It's kind of ironic. He was made to beat Goku with data and DNA from Goku. He isn't just figuratively an alternate Goku, he kind of literally is too. At least in terms of genetics, because he's part Goku. So what about when he actually got that power? What was his motivation? And how does it represent Goku? Well, what he desires as a warrior is kind of close to what Goku desires as a warrior. It's straightforward and simple. He wants to be strong, and he wants to test out that strength against others. But of course he goes about it very differently too. He's incredibly vain. Other fighters are opportunities for Goku to grow, while for Cell they're basically playthings. Just people he could assert his dominance and perfection to. And of course, just like he tells Trunks, besides asserting his strength, he likes seeing fear. As the perfect life form, he views himself as the best life form, the thing above all else. So similar to what I said about Goku and Vegeta, both Goku and Cell of course want to grow stronger and fight the best people in the universe as well. They share that, but not their specific motivations behind the goal. Goku simply seeks to improve himself and be the best warrior he can be, while Cell, it's almost like his reason for seeking strength is because he wants to seek validation. Like, compare how they act when they lose battles. Goku has fun, he learns from them. When Cell begins to lose a fight, he basically loses all sensibility. Goku can aim for the top, but whenever he's not at the top, he could accept that, while Cell can't accept that. He has to be the best, and he won't have it any other way. By the way, if you're enjoying this video so far, be sure to drop a like because it tells me you want to see more essays like this. Last but not least, we have a Jiren. I'm sure there are some people asking why he's even included in this video because I know a lot of people have kind of a neutral or unfavorable view on him. He's often regarded as one note or boring, like he serves no narrative purpose. But he does, and it ties back to Goku. Once again, Jiren is another representation of an alternate version of Goku, but with a few differences. For one, Jiren is completely laser focused on strength, nothing else. That is absolute. Everything he's ever done in his life and everything he desires revolves around strength. It's the only thing that matters to him. The ways he acts as a foil are different than Vegeta or Cell. For one, while he's the antagonist of the arc, he's not evil. Vegeta and Cell are antagonists, but they're also villains. Jiren, on the other hand, is a literal superhero. Also, unlike Vegeta or Cell, Jiren's strength doesn't just come from talent. A lot of it is definitely attributed to hard work. He'll go to any length for this. So, okay, he's not a villain and he works hard for his power. What is he contrasting about Goku then? Well, a lot of his fight with Goku highlights the things that makes Goku, Goku. I've seen people say before that Jiren kind of represents a version of Goku without Dragon Balls, and yes, that is somewhat true to an extent, but to me he's more so a version of Goku that lacks a lot of different things. So remember before I said a lot of people think Jiren is one note? Yeah, he kind of is. But that's also kind of the point. His life revolves around strength. Not for bad purposes or anything, but that's all his life is. It's just power. Goku, on the other hand, is powerful. He obtains strength through hard work, and he definitely values it. But there's so much more about him that makes Goku himself. For one, the companionship aspect. Unlike what I mentioned with Vegeta and Goku, it's not like Jiren looks down upon others because he has a superiority complex. Rather, he does so because he views them as obstacles. Things keeping him from attaining ultimate strength. Then again, there's Goku, with companionship. The people around him mold him into what he is. Goku would not have been where he is without those people around him. Notably, the trust he has in them too. This was made very apparent during the tournament itself. Jiren pushed aside others. He had no trust in them. He couldn't even trust dragons. Jokes aside though, not only was companionship meaningless to Jiren, but so was trust. He had no reason to trust others. Look at how he treats his teammates. Toppo and Dispo particularly. They clearly think pretty highly of Jiren. They try to have a bond with him. But while they're his longtime allies and actually pretty strong in their own right, Jiren has no interest in reciprocating that trust or friendship. Relying on others is an obstacle and a weakness. And as someone who values strength so much, he can't have a weakness. But Goku proves that this isn't true. Having these human emotions, having trust in others, having companionship, that's not a weakness, that's strength, which is exactly what Jiren's looking for. Each of them also kinda has a motto that they live by, and a pretty straightforward way to contrast them is by looking at these mottos. Jiren believes strength is absolute. Not necessarily a motto, but definitely a code he lives by. Goku on the other hand had a motto from the Turtle School, something to live by that would make him successful as a martial artist, and as a person too. Movement, studying, playing, eating, resting, all equally important parts of the Turtle School motto. Not just focus on strength, but life itself. Jiren on the other hand, the only virtue he has is strength. Everything else is irrelevant and ignored. But similar to Vegeta, he comes to recognize why Goku is who he is. Those aspects of him aren't weaknesses. And these things are keys to the things Jiren's been searching for so long. True strength isn't completely unattainable to him. He's just pushed aside the things that would lead him to that. All three of these characters contrast Goku and act as foils in some way. They even share some similarities between each other. But most important, even though it might not seem like it, one of the biggest points of these characters is the fact that they represent Goku's own values. Antagonists that don't just serve as obstacles for Goku, but act as displays for who Goku is. When we learn more about them, and when we look deeply into their characters, we learn more about Goku in the process. Of course, there are other characters that fill this role, so let me know what you think below. What do you think about what I said here, and what other characters do you think represents this well? As usual, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.